So everybody can hear me and we're good to go. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and get started. Thank you guys. We are expecting a really great turnout, which is no surprise because of all the excitement that is surrounding these new medications. And for those of you who don't know me, my name is Sherry Stoka, and I am owner and founder of Weight Loss MD. I am on with my partner in crime, Erica Gutierrez, who's going to help me manage some of the questions in chat, and she's been with me since I opened Weight Loss MD, and she's very much part of the creation and development of all the programs that we do. So like I said, I'm going to go ahead and get started. What I did want to mention before is, typically when I'm doing these presentations, I wait at the end for questions, but we're going to do something a little bit different this time. And I'm going to stop at certain points and just make this more interactive. So if a question, as I'm going through certain things, if a question comes up, ask the question, I will stop, I'll answer it, and hopefully it'll just be that much more beneficial for everybody on the call. So if you don't have questions, no worries, you can save till the end, but we will definitely be checking that throughout the process. So I think that is it. Let's go ahead and get started. And I don't know why I can't move. Okay, there we go. Okay, there we go. All right, so today I am going to talk about the root cause of obesity and chronic illness. And most of you who have heard me talk, it is really for me all about kind of bringing awareness to a lot of the lies and corruption that are out there. And I am really passionate about really digging deeper and not only helping, as I develop this business, but really helping patients and educating them on why we do certain things and what really is the truth. And sometimes, I'm a little crass in my approach, but that's kind of the way I do things. And so hopefully this presentation is very helpful for you. And like I said, ask questions along the way. So root cause of obesity and chronic illness. I will talk about some changes that are, kind of no-brainers, absolutely essential. We are absolutely going to talk about the new medication, what they are they safe, and all of that. And we'll talk a little bit about keys to success in beating the system that we live in. And just again, my whole goal is to offer a different perspective about health, because at the end of the day, we can only do so much. We just have to give you different perspectives so you can take that on, you can empower yourself and move forward in your healthcare journey, because it really is all about you taking control of that. So the fact of the matter is that we live in a system. We call it a healthcare system. I don't believe it's a healthcare system. I think it's a sick care system. By 2030, they're expecting that nearly half of Americans will have obesity. And when I look at this, and every day, all day, it's like, oh, you hear all these statistics and this and that, and I ask myself, I'm like, okay, like, who's responsible for this? Because if I was responsible for improving the health of our nation and we had these statistics, like, I would have been fired a long time ago. So it's sad to me because nobody's held accountable for any of these results, and it's continuing to get worse. And we live in this modern world. And then you wonder, like, what are they doing? What are they doing to help us? I'll talk a little bit about that, but I mean, in my opinion, like, there's really not doing much. And some people will say, well, people have just lost their willpower. And when I hear that, that makes me kind of crawl in my chair, because I'm like, listen, we didn't all lose our willpower. We don't. There's a lot of us walking around that are not eating, tempted by donuts and cookies every single day. There's people out there doing the right thing every single day, trying so hard to get healthier, and they can't. And so, and you know, again, some of my verbiage may be a little over the top, but this is kind of how I see things. I'm like, what happened to cause us humans, to age like zombies? You know, you kind of look around and you see people limping and on canes and they're trying to survive. It's like, this is not normal. You don't see this in other countries. I am, again, Erica, and you can help, but I'm going to look here if there, because I did see a question. Okay.
The questions have been about a replay, so
Okay.
we will be sending out the replay for anybody that needs to leave.
Okay, great. Yes, we will. And I'm, for some reason, this is really weird. Okay, I'm just going to have to use this. All right, so our system, I'm going to talk a little bit about our system. Our system is making us fat, and this is not by mistake. Some of the statistics, 85% of all diseases are preventable. Okay, so that's significant. If you think about all of the diseases that people have now, these are absolutely preventable diseases. Recent studies show that 95% of Americans have some sort of metabolic dysfunction. There are various levels of metabolic dysfunction, but think about that, almost every single person walking around has metabolic dysfunction. Doctors are trained to give a pill for every ailment that you have. There's no coverage for health and wellness. So there's no coverage for someone like me trying to help with, you know, preventative health and things like that. But they are more than willing to cover all of the medications and surgeries that you would need. The pharmaceutical industry absolutely runs the world. They fund the government, medical schools, professional associations, and every big corporate junk food company on the planet. So these are facts. I mean, and again, this is just kind of awakening people to some of the stuff that you would never hear on the news. Why would you ever hear that on the news? And then there's the schools. Schools feed processed poison to our kids. And then, you know, the talk is why are all of our kids dealing with ADHD, anxiety, depression? And at the end of the day, you know, this is the new normal. Our kids are sicker than ever. And we are, as you know, Americans, we're just going with the flow because this is what we're told. But what we know now is that our food staples, so everything that we eat on a daily basis, the grains, the dairy, soy, seed oils, which I'll talk more about, corn, have become non-food chemicals and destroy our gut, which the gut is the foundation and will essentially, you know, continue to destroy the entire human body. So obesity rates are rising significantly. Diabetes is rising significantly, pre-diabetes. And the sad part is that the majority of people walking around with these conditions, they don't even because the blood tests, all of the labs and things that we're going into our doctor and we're getting done. I mean, let's be honest, nobody's talking to us about blood work and say to them, oh, you know, I had blood work done. How did everything? I think, can you see everything now?
Yep, you're on the pyramid slide.
Okay. Okay, sorry about that. Oh my gosh. Okay, so anyway, I think everybody knows that the food system is horrible, but before I jump into all of the medications and that type of thing, I just thought it was really important to get us all on this level playing field to help people understand that, like, you know, there's a bigger problem to all of this. Yes, there are solutions, but we kind of have to, you know, open our eyes to like some of the surroundings where we can make some changes. But so this slide here, the food guide pyramid, this is what I was taught. You know, if you look at this, food guide pyramid back in the day, you know, this is what they told you. Eat 6 to 11 servings of carbohydrates, breads, cereals, etc. You know, eat 3 to 5 servings of fruits and vegetables, and eat minimal fats and protein. And the reality is that, you know, how you should be eating is the complete opposite. So it's just a reiteration of what we are told for so long. A typical day back in the 70s, people ate real food. They ate a healthy balance of protein, fats, and carbs. They ate fruits and vegetables, clean ingredients, and they had color on their plate. You know, if you look at plates now, there's no color. It's one color because it's ultra processed. And if there is color, it's from dyes. It's not from food. So this is a typical day in the in the world we live in now. And obviously, you know, we know what that has done. And I did want to add this slide in, because if there are people on this webinar today and your kids are in school, they're not stopping. Like, this is constant. They just approved for the National School Lunch Program that Lunchables are going to be approved for school lunches, you know, nationwide. So when you look at this, like, stuff like this just infuriates me, because this is what we're feeding our children. We're not giving them real food. I mean, look at the ingredients. It's bleached, enriched, like bleached flour, soybean oil, which is industrialized, and you have preservatives. So this is what the government allows for us to feed our youth. So the root cause is American diet. The standard American diet causes blood sugar dysregulation. It destroys our healthy gut, our healthy ecosystem, which affects our brain, because the gut and the brain are one unit. It increases oxidative stress on the body. So you might not think you are a stressed person and you have stress in your life, but you do indeed have a lot of stress in your body because of what the food is doing. It causes hormonal imbalances, it causes sleep issues, lack of energy, which again continues the cycle, because then you want to crave more sugar because you don't have energy. And so in the grand scheme of things, our diet is slowly breaking us down. It's slowly killing us. And this is where my whole passion is, to really just kind of awaken us to, you know, step outside of this and, you know, do everything that you have control over doing. So fats and sugars in our diet have changed. You know, fats and sugars are a macronutrient that are essential to health. They're absolutely essential. But now the fats and the sugars in our diet have changed, and they have become industrialized. They've become ultra processed. And now this is what's affecting the inflammation in our body and causing these chronic diseases. So when you look at the oils that are available to us on the shelf, the vegetable oils, canola, corn, cottonseed, soy, safflower, grapeseed, all of these oils, if you have those in your cabinet, I would recommend that you really never use those again. Like, I know that sounds like a really harsh statement, but these oils are highly processed, meaning they are heated to extremely high temperatures. They break down the actual benefit of the fats. The fats become oxidized, meaning when you consume it, it is causing an inflammatory response in the body. The processing removes all of the natural compounds in the body. So you're not getting really any of the natural vitamins and minerals or antioxidants. And not to get into a lot of detail about the essential, we need fats in our diet. We would not be alive without fats. You know, our brain is 80% fat. So we need to fuel our brain with fats. But now we have created all of these inflammatory fats, and that is why, so many people and are dealing with cognitive issues. And not only that, I mean, it's the entire body, but this is the vegetable oils, the seed oils are you really need to be very, very cautious. And I know probably people are going to have questions, well, what do I use? And we can talk about that because there are different ways to cook. There are some oils out there that obviously are safer, but it is those vegetables, and these are the key ones that are quote unquote industrialized. So they have taken these specific oils and they no longer are in a natural state. So again, not to belabor the whole concept of this, but what they do is they take, so they're polyunsaturated fats. They are very unstable fats. So they heat them, they bleach them, they deodorize them, and hence it creates these known carcinogens. Carcinogens are actually cancer causing in the body. And I'm sure a lot of people on this call, because I as well, I even just was talking to my sister, I'm like, gosh, I just feel like so many people are developing like cancer and these diseases like earlier in their life. And unfortunately it is our food. So again, if there's anything you can do, just get rid of those vegetable oils, because they've done studies and just by taking 1 teaspoon causes a cascade of inflammation in the body. Inflammation is the root of every disease. So we all have the propensity to develop different kind of conditions, and that, there's many things that come into play, genetically, of course, but it all starts from a root cause, and the root cause is inflammation. So when you look at all the diseases, these are all inflammatory diseases: asthma, autoimmune, cognitive, and mental issues, diabetes, obesity, you name it. But it all came from the same problem. So our goal always is getting people into that healthier state, calming down the inflammation, and helping them realize that this is, this really isn't the normal trajectory of like how we should feel or how we should age. Sugar is another huge problem. Sugar is no longer the cookies and the donuts. Sugar now is in everything. They add sugar in the processing to every food. You can look on the label, and if it says added sugar, they poured it on there because our threshold has changed. Back in the day, you'd have something sweet once a week and you're like, oh, that was an amazing, treat. But now we eat sugar all day. So now the food industry has to keep competing with each other, because in order for people to continue to buy their product, they have to make it sweet enough for you to like it. And so now sugar is in just all of our regular staples. So this is really important. The health effects of sugar is essentially what is causing all of the destruction in the body, because the body was designed, the body only thrives off of sugar, believe it or not. And we would die if we didn't have it. And the key part to sugar is the body being able to keep it in balance, keep it in homeostasis. But what has happened now is we have so much sugar in our blood. So this is, if you look at this little image, it's kind of gives you some perspective. This is low sugar. The little white things are sugar. So that's hypoglycemia, low sugar. This is normal. You have some sugar that you need. And then hyperglycemia, too much sugar in the blood, starts to clog things up. And it literally is, an analogy would be like syrup. That is literally what your blood turns into when we're consuming too much sugar and we have too much sugar in our blood. The blood becomes very viscous. It becomes very, like syrup. So when that happens, our blood vessels, it starts to damage our blood vessels, and then you start to get this, decrease in circulation. You can't get blood flow to certain areas of the body. This is huge with obviously diabetes. Their fingers are the first to go. Their toes are are the first to go because the circulation can't get to those areas. And it's all about the high sugar. It is all about the high sugar in the blood. So the body when sugar is in the bloodstream, the body is on high alert, super high alert, because it does not want sugar sitting in the bloodstream because it starts to break things down. So what it will do is it will convert it into triglycerides, so fats. It will convert it. It has a way of converting sugar into a whole different molecule. And what it does is then stores it in that visceral fat. We talk about visceral fat all the time. And visceral fat is fat that it is not the pinchable. It's not the pinchable that you can pinch on your stomach or your arms. It is the deep stuff that is hard and you can't feel it. And if you look at this image, you can see the visceral is between and intertwines all of the vital organs. When you get that fat in between all of the vital organs, those vital organs no longer work as they should. So that changes your metabolism entirely. It changes almost everything in the body. I did want to mention though, because I think more people are starting to learn and understand what blood sugar dysregulation means and how bad it can be or what it can do to your body. But what's really important to understand is that blood sugar can be affected by other things besides food. You know, if you are a stressed person, your blood sugars can be elevated all the time. Because the body under stress, cortisol, stress, that response increases your blood sugars. If you're not sleeping, you have an increase in blood sugars. EMF, you know, again, that's another whole story in itself, but just the radiation that we get from our environment, our cell phones, different areas, you know, cell towers and things like that can absolutely cause significant stress on the body. Inflammation, food sensitivities, you know, gut issues are a huge problem now. When you eat a food, that causes an inflammatory response that increases blood sugars. Being sick, dehydration, lack of exercise, and then certain medications that cause weight gain, they increase your blood sugars. So that is one of the main reasons why they do cause weight gain, because of the whole insulin blood sugar response. So new studies show that 95% of Americans have metabolic dysfunction. We have some type of metabolic dysfunction. We have various degrees or levels of metabolic dysfunction, but almost everybody does. So what does that look like? It could be a number of things, and you can kind of, again, just kind of go down the list. These are all metabolic dysfunction. So what does that mean? It means that your body no longer works as it should. It means that it no longer breaks down food and it no longer accesses energy the way that it should. So that's why, you know, exercising or eating less calories does not work anymore because of the metabolic dysfunction. Your body has completely changed. And so that's why I'm spending time going through this, because when I get into the medications, I want you to really understand why these certain new peptides, medications, whatever you want to call it, are helping so much. So this is the new normal. You know, we do believe that this is how aging looks. We're overweight, we're on multiple meds. Every time we go in, we probably get another diagnosis and another medication to leave with. And you know, like I said, a lot of people are walking around like zombies. They can't even walk anymore. Like that is not how humans are supposed to live. Like, look at some of the other, you know, European countries or countries in the world. They're living until they die. They don't have the diseases that we do in America. So that's why we do what we do at Weightless MD. We have always been about getting the body into a healthier state for optimal weight loss. If we don't get your body into that healthier state, then we're going to get you to lose weight and it's come right back on. So we are very good at that. We are very good at looking at certain things and fixing it. medications, so lifestyle medications are worsening the problem. They are altering normal physiology. So our goal really, and your goal should be, because we can't intervene with the relationship that you have with your physicians. You have to work with your doctors, and you have to have those conversations about, man, I've been on this PPI, this Nexium, for 4 years, but it says right here in the package insert that it should not be taken longer than 90 days. You know, like, these are things that unfortunately it's gonna be on you to have those conversations with your doctor, because we are not in the business to take over the relationship that you have with your doctor. We want to help support and educate you so you can have those conversations. And a big part is those medications, because they're not being used in the appropriate way. I mean, it's so crazy to me. But identifying the root imbalances, we just talked about. People ask all the time, you know, can I keep the weight off? It all comes down to your metabolic dysfunction. We have to get you into that healthier state. Otherwise, you're going to continue on that hamster wheel. Obviously, we're going to require some change. Everybody needs to change. You know, I change every single day. I'm learning something new. Change is not easy. I've learned some really hard lessons in my life, but you know, it's really rewarding when you can kind of work through some things and then actually see the outcome. But like I said, all the time, we are all about helping you help yourself, because we can only do so much. It is really all about you becoming your own advocate and going, kind of creating, you know, the support system that you need to live your best life. All right, finally, we're going to talk about the meds. So and Erica, I can't see anything. I don't want to touch anything, because if I do, I'll probably turn this off, and I don't want to do that. So if you want me to answer anything, if there's questions coming through, if you can just chime in and ask it, I think that would be ideal.
Okay, that sounds good. So far, we are good.
Okay. All right. And just a reminder, if anybody does have any questions, just put it in the chat, and then I will be happy to answer as we go along. So FDA approved weight loss drugs. This is kind of like looking at what we have had available to us for the last 25 years. And as most people know, like, none of it has worked. I think Orlistat, so you have this Orlistat in 1999, which is probably one of the worst things that ever came to market. And it's still out there, but anyway, I won't get into detail, but it literally causes your body to malabsorb nutrients. So you know, again, you know, I think we have come a long way, and that's what I'm going to talk about. I know this slide is busy, but so the big medications now are the GLPs, so the glucagon-like peptides. And what I want really people to know is that these class of drugs or medications, or what I'm going to call peptides soon, is they've been around for 20 years. So it's not like, you know, 2 years ago they just came up with this semaglutide or Wegovy and Ozempic, and we're like, oh wow, I can't believe it. Like, they've been working on this for 20 years. And so over 20 years, they have you know, been advancing the molecule. The main goal was to get, you know, to make it easier for people to take the medication, because when the GLPs first came out, it was a twice a day injection. So they were like, okay, nobody's going to do that. So they were like, okay, let's relook at this. And then they went to a once a day. So they have been working with this medication, and now obviously it is a once a week medication. And that now is, you know, the claim to fame, because that's doable. And now the advancement in the molecule is super duper effective. So the GLP, which I'll kind of go into, but we also have, okay, so incretin hormones are essentially hormones in the gut. They are hormones that do certain things when you consume food. So obviously food is, you know, essential to life. And when that happens, certain signaling and certain things are supposed to happen. So these three hormones are in the gut and they respond to food. And so then when you take the medication, we're trying to mimic and replicate that whole process. So the GLP agonists, glucagon-like peptides such as semaglutide, the brand name is Wegovy, which is approved, has FDA approval for weight loss. And then the brand name Ozempic is FDA approved for type 2 diabetes. This is the exact same compound, semaglutide. It's just a different indication. It's just, all of the stuff that the pharma does to, spread their wings and try to make more money. But the GLP and the GIP, the GIP stands for glucose-dependent insulinotropic polypeptide. This is a newer medication. It's out there right now. It's not as popular as like the semaglutide, but the tirzepatide, some of you may have heard about Mounjaro or Zepbound. So the difference is one is a single agonist. So the GLP is the semaglutide. The dual agonists, so the GLP and the GIP, they act on two different receptors in the body. So just kind of understand that it's kind of like, it's like a more improved approach to how they're looking at helping people with weight loss and diabetes. So it's kind of like, the semaglutide, maybe with, advancements to it. What I will tell you is right now, there is another pharmaceutical company, actually, I think it is Eli Lilly. They are now doing studies on retatrutide. I think that's how you say it, retatrutide. So this is a triple agonist. So they're now looking at an injection that's going to affect the GLP receptors, the GIP receptors, and the glucagon, which I will kind of help you understand that. But I think the most important part is like, you can see that the newer research is they're trying to create something that's bigger and better than the latter. So that is where tirzepatide is now coming into mainstream, and everybody wants to try tirzepatide because of now what the studies are showing. And not to get into too much detail, but I don't know, for me, it's like super important to point this out. So that's why I put it on the slide. But, these medications are peptides, meaning they're very natural in the body. Our body has it. So if you look at the compound of GLP, you can see, I know you can't really see like all the details, but these are all amino acids, and it's a chain of amino acids. So when they wanted to replicate this peptide in a medication form, it was essentially doing exactly what was in the body, with an exception of some amino acids that have been kind of transposed. So they wanted to prolong the half-life, meaning the ultimate goal was to get the medications to stay in the system longer, so you didn't have to take the injection every single day. And that entailed making a couple changes to this amino acid sequence. And so the point of me showing you this is that this is absolutely natural in the body. And this, even though they changed out a couple amino acids, the body perceives it is exactly the same native molecule. So that's different than like a different medication that you might be taking, like a statin, because that's completely changing your normal physiology. And it's actually for the worse, where this is mimicking what your body was designed to do. And I'll probably get into a little bit more, but nowadays we have lost the ability to produce those hormones. So that's why giving these injections now has changed everything. So a peptide, again, is a chain of amino acids. We all know amino acids are building blocks, they're proteins. We have over 7,000 peptides in the human body. Insulin was actually the first peptide discovered in 1921. We are all familiar with insulin. It has literally changed medicine hands down. It has saved lives. And so we know that peptides can be, life-changing. And I will probably end up, I don't know if I will, but we're super into peptides. A bunch of us at Waylos MD, and we're all on a bunch of peptides because there are different ones that have been shown to be regenerative and a big part of kind of just changing our biochemistry and helping with anti-aging and all of that. So we truly believe in peptides. So this is a peptide, and now we have over 100 FDA approved peptides available to us in medicine. I just put a couple there. So you might have been on a peptide before, you just didn't really know it. So it's to just basically help you understand that, these are out there, they are super effective, and they have shown, success and longevity, in our lifetime anyway. The main point of peptides, again, being a chain of amino acids, is they do some core things, and their main mechanism of action is to improve cellular health. Our bodies are made of cells. We have trillions of cells, and over time our cells die off and they become damaged. So what peptides do is they control the inflammatory response, which is huge because obviously inflammation is the beginning of all diseases. They assist in cellular autophagy, mitophagy, and apoptosis, which is essentially cellular cleanup. So if you are a smoker and you have a bunch of damaged cells in your lungs, peptides will help kind of clean out those damaged cells so that new ones can grow. And I kind of explained it to someone, well, it's probably not a good analogy, but like a plant that's like has all like the dead leaves are coming, falling off. Like when you pull those leaves off and then you start to see things grow better, that's kind of like what autophagy is. It's constantly cleaning things up in the body. It optimizes mitochondrial function, which the mitochondria is our furnace of every cell. Like if you don't have energy throughout the day, you probably have a lot of mitochondrial dysfunction. It reestablishes or protects the cell efficiency, and it's so crucial in metabolic flexibility. So the GLPs are, again, glucagon-like peptides. These are they consist of 30 amino acid peptides. They're produced in the gut, the L cells of the distal ileum, so in the colon. And they do three main things that, again, I feel like this is very common knowledge by now, but they stimulate insulin production. They decrease glucagon. They stimulate receptors in the brain. So we're going to get more into this. They slow gastric emptying. And what's very, very important to understand about GLPs is that we have receptors everywhere in our body. We have them in our brain, in our lung, in our kidneys, and in our central nervous system. So now that people are starting to, be on these GLPs for a while, everyone is starting to notice all of these other benefits, and it is because of all the receptors everywhere else. We were focusing on the receptors in the gut, but now all of these other ancillary benefits are starting to come to fruition because they didn't realize that now all the benefits are affecting the rest of the body. And not even a year ago, the FDA just approved GLP. So Wegovy got FDA approval for cardiovascular disease. So anybody who has cardiovascular disease or a cardiovascular event or a risk factor, they would get approval to go on this GLP because of the benefits of the cardioprotection of the heart. So kind of crazy. And again, what we hear in the media is just crazy nonsense. And then you have your GIP. So this is again the dual, the tirzepatide. This is what semaglutide does not have. Tirzepatide has the GIP. And this is another amino peptide, 42 amino acid peptide produced in a different part of the gut. Does a lot of similar things, but it does act on some different systems in the body. And what they are finding now, and this is kind of awakened me to a lot of things, is that the GIP, this GIP secretion has been found in studies to be significantly reduced in patients with type 2 diabetes. And what it's showing now is that some people with not some, but since the majority have metabolic dysfunction, that people with metabolic dysfunction don't have they don't have these hormones. The hormones are non-responsive. So if you were to eat, and a normal response would be, okay, brain's triggered signal, I feel good, I feel full. And so hence, you're not going to be hungry anymore, and et cetera, et cetera. But if you're resistant, if you don't have these hormones that are functioning, you're not getting those signals. And so this, to me, because we see this in our patients, and I'll talk a little bit about it, this is why giving the injection and giving what the body is missing changes so much. So what we do know, like just to reiterate, GLPs affect everything: heart, stomach, fat tissue, muscles, pancreas, bone, kidneys, liver. I mean, I can't tell you how many studies that I read about GLPs and regenerative, how it even reversed cancer, and again, all these studies are out there. It's just nobody's talking about them. So GIP has an additional effect on the body, and that effect is in the bone. So it has this bone regenerative effect, and it does have more of an effect on lipolysis, meaning like the fatty tissue. So studies show that tirzepatide may be more helpful for people who do have more risks of high triglycerides. They have the high LDL. They have maybe high apoprotein, inflammatory conditions related to the heart, because that has a real effect on that type of condition. So it's broad spectrum. I mean, it definitely is affecting many things, but there are just little nuances. And so the ancillary benefits now are showing that these medications help with PCOS, fatty liver disease. I'm invested in a company that now is taking off they were a brain company looking at Alzheimer's, and now they're looking at GLPs for Alzheimer's. So it's taking off in this area in brain health. Depression, cardiovascular disease, and chronic pain. So, like I said, Mounjaro and Zepbound are the dual. So those are the next next phase medications that everyone is starting to talk about. And studies do show that they do have a little bit higher percentage of weight loss. And they do have just some other, maybe some nuanced benefits that semaglutide has, but maybe just on a lower level. And you can kind of see here, increases energy expenditure, activates metabolism of certain fat stores, decrease inflammation in the body, helps with microvascular function, decreases blood pressure, decreases neuroinflammation, which is the brain, and reduces liver inflammation. So, I mean, the benefits are kind of crazy. So, we're going to be launching tirzepatide and making it available July 1st. And we know that a lot of questions are going to come out because all of our patients are on semaglutide. And so just off the top of our head, without, kind of digging super into this, our approach is going to be tirzepatide makes perfect sense if somebody on semaglutide plateaus or builds up a tolerance. Or, there are some people, not many, that they just don't respond to semaglutide, the way that the masses are. So maybe that would be a person that would be a good fit. some people come to us and say, our doctor wants us to start on tirzepatide. So that would be someone that obviously we're going to help. And side effects are kind of inclusive. I'm going to talk a little bit about the side effects on the medications, but for both of them, they seem to be very similar. And like I said, the weight loss seems to be just slightly more with the dual agonist versus the single. Okay, so again, it's me asking why these peptides work so well and helping you guys understand why they work so well. And the reason why they work so well is because our guts, our state of health, our guts are messed up, right? So the ecosystem in our gut is not producing the signaling that needs to happen, that is supposed to happen if you are in a healthier state. Because again, we are not eating real food, we're poisoned every day. So our guts are not producing the signals that it is supposed to produce. So if we can give you a little boost, that changes everything. And again, metabolic dysfunction is insulin resistance. And so if 95% of our population have some sort of insulin resistance or sensitivity, by supporting it with this injection, that changes so much too. And I know, maybe some of you don't really understand what insulin resistance means, but in simplistic terms, it means that your cells cannot receive energy from the food that you consume. So you might be eating a lot of food, but you feel very tired, very fatigued and sick. And it's because even though you're consuming that energy, your cells are not able to take it up. So when we can give you something that helps your cells actually take up that energy, that again is a normal process that should be happening. And that's when people start to really see the differences. There's a lot of stuff out there in the media. I dug again deep into it, and here's what I know, and here's from the studies that I have read. A meta-analysis of clinical studies indicated that treatment of the GLPs on obese patients with type 2 diabetes did not increase their risk of acute pancreatitis, pancreatic cancer, tumors, and overall tumor neoplasia, because there is kind of a lot of talk out there about it causing cancer and all of this. And I read a lot of studies, and I read the summary, and that's what they concluded. They also concluded, and this is, of course, it's 2024, but this is as of 2021, because the meds have been out for 20 years. There have been no clear evidence suggesting tumorigenic effects of these peptides, and there are so many studies showing the protective effect on actually cancer. So this is the truth. And however, I still have questions, and sometimes I don't have the answers, because sometimes answers are not available to me, but there are always questions, because I am a very natural person. I am totally against a lot of medications, but this has changed me, because now I believe that we have diseases of modernity, we have diseases of the system, and now we have to approach it differently, and we have to biohack, and we have to support in ways that we can't do if we were living on the land and eating fruits and roots, and that's just not ever going to happen anymore. But some questions that I do have is, so it is a peptide, it's a synthetic peptide, and we are giving it at pretty high doses. I think I would want to know, like, what is the ideal dose for these injectables? It's designed to stay in the system for longer. So is that, I would want to know, like, down the road, what would that cause any issues? I mean, gastroparesis, you hear about like this paralysis of the stomach, that I also have found that is not, something that they're seeing, in the new medication and things like that. They're pulling stuff from a while back. But again, these are questions that, that do come up like in the media. There's a lot of talk about weight gain after stopping these medications. So far we've been offering it for, I think, over 2 years, maybe close to 3 years now. And it all has to do with your metabolic health. That is really going to dictate weight regain. And as far as long-term studies go, a lot of people are like, oh, we don't have long-term studies on this. And yeah, studies are great, but just be mindful on the fact that usually the studies are funded by the company that's actually selling the drug. So I only read a select number. I only really rely on a select number of studies because if it's biased, if it's, by Pfizer, that's actually selling the product. Well, we know that doesn't, really help at all. So it's just little things to kind of think about as, you navigate kind of through all of this. Okay, so side effects we see. The reality is that we do see some side effects. The majority of them are very minimal. We do find that people who come to us with a ton of issues have more side effects. So it's all about the ecosystem. It's about the gut and what's going on in the gut, because if it's unhealthy, that is the person that's probably going to feel it the most. Those who continue to eat poorly while they're on the medication will absolutely have more symptoms. And we have had only a very few, I think I can count maybe like 3 people that had to stop because of the significance of the side effects. And approximately 15% will have something. They'll have something where they're like, yeah, I'm kind of feeling something. That usually goes away, and not a problem for them continuing. So the reality is that we don't see the significance of it. Sometimes we do have to stop with some patients and kind of assess the symptoms and work on like their gut, because we work on gut health all the time, and then they can go back on it. But that really hasn't, it hasn't happened a lot, but when we do that, that seemed to be really effective too. So again, the whole point of this is the reality. We just don't see anything super significant. They're there, but it's not significant.
Sherry, can I stop you a second and ask you a
Yes.
question?
Yes.
Someone's asking, and they're saying they're confused because they're wondering if the GLP, GIP agonists, do they increase or decrease insulin resistance?
They increase the insulin sensitivity. So insulin resistance means that your cells no longer respond to insulin trying to move sugar into your cells. So what these medications do is they increase insulin, because a lot, oftentimes people are not even producing enough insulin. So they increase the insulin so that it can actually take the sugar out of the blood and move it into the cell. And the cells are more open to receiving the sugar so that it can be used for energy. So it's repairing kind of that whole process. So hopefully that made sense. So it's improving insulin sensitivity. It's not causing insulin resistance. Before I move on, I want to make sure that I was clear on that. Are we good?
Yeah, that's how I would say it. We're decreasing insulin resistance. We're improving insulin sensitivity.
Yeah. Yeah, because your body becomes just numb and immune to the insulin because of all the destruction, all of the bombarding, the poison, nonstop sugar. So now we're actually fixing the insulin. We're getting the insulin to work again.
The person responded and said, yes, thank you.
Okay, cool. Okay, so our approach, we manage the patient. It's all about managing the patient. It's kind of like, I give the analogy, I'm like, if I were to put you on a medication, I put you on a super high dose, you're absolutely, of course, going to have side effects. So that is why it's a titratable medication. We're managing people. We're trying to find the right dose. We also are trying to find the right diet for you. You know, not everybody, you know, everybody works differently. Accountability and coaching, and just, we've lost touch with some of the simple things in life that are crucial. I mean, something as simple as like actually looking at the sun and like having it like touch your eyes in the morning. I mean, that's what sets the stage of like, you know, your circadian rhythm, and like little things that we've just kind of lost along the way. And I'm not saying that's it, but those are the things that we try to bring and support with our patients. And we are all about setting realistic expectations, meeting people where they're at, because I mean, that's what's going to ultimately be sustainable, rather than saying, okay, let's, you know, work on 25 things for the next week. So yeah, it's really all about meeting people where they're at. And but again, it's all on you. Whenever we have successful patients and they're like, oh my God, thank you, thank you, thank you. I'm like, don't, like, we just help, like, we just support along the way. Like, you did all the work. This is all of your doing. And that's what it's about. You know, it really is going to be up to you, because we can't help you until you can really help yourself. So some of the benefits we see in our practice is we're always healing the gut. We're helping people with that. Increase energy almost immediately. You know, you fix the gut, you fix the body, you get improved mood, you sleep better, you have less pain, less inflammation, obviously weight loss. So we kind of tallied some of our semaglutide patients, and here are some of our results. Patients after 12 weeks, total weight loss was 18 pounds, so about 1.5 pounds per week. Visceral fat went down 2 points. So again, this deeper belly fat, which is the only thing really that we care about. And then the weight loss is fat loss. So, you know, again, this is what you should care about. After 24 weeks, we've seen 31 pounds, which is 1 pound per week after the first 12 weeks. Visceral fat went down 5 points, which is huge. And, you know, again, I think, you know, out there, and I'll probably talk about it, but like people are talking about, oh my gosh, people are losing muscle and not fat. And that is absolutely not what we're seeing at all. So we're getting really good results. And we wanted to put this slide in here because, people ask so many questions like, you know, who's a good fit, or how long should I stay on it, or, you know, and so these are actually 4 of our patients. And, yes, I mean, obviously this is not their picture, but these are case studies that I pulled that I thought was really remarkable in like where they came, or, you know, where they came from, like everything that was going on with them. So the first one was a patient that had fatty liver disease, IBS, arthritis, prediabetes, gut issues, had her gallbladder removed, on multiple medications, just could not lose. I mean, she worked with us, she worked hard, went on and off, and started semaglutide, and just immediately started to see like the light was at the end of the tunnel. And she ended up losing almost 30 pounds, maintained that 30 pounds, and is honestly like grateful. I just always, whenever I see her, she's just always, you know, thanking us, or thanking maybe us, but also just like so thankful for the fact that we had that to offer for her. So these are all like, these are what we experience. People are just, this is a game changer for a lot of people. This particular patient had morbid obesity, lipedema. If anyone is familiar with that disease, like it's hardcore. It's, nobody knows how to treat it. Nobody. She had chronic pain. She waddled when she came in. She had lack of immobility, and went on semaglutide after 3 months, she lost 50 pounds, but I remember her coming in after 2 weeks, and she came in and she looked at me and she's like, I don't even know what just happened, but the pain that I've been dealing with for the last 10 years is almost gone. And that really got me interested because I was like, okay, what's going on here? Like, because I remember meeting with her initially and she's like, I am in so much pain. I live in pain. It disrupts my entire life. And the medication did something. And so I truly believe that she was GLP deficient. We gave her a little bit and the body started to do what it was meant to do. And she still to this day, she came in just the other day and she's like, unfortunately, this probably will be what I need for the rest of my life. So this would be an example of someone that maybe would need it for the rest of their life. Another patient on every lifestyle medication known to man, sleep, reflux, thyroid, diabetes, depression, cholesterol, gut issues. And she came in and she was in lost land. And but she complained about her gut a lot. So I said, listen, let's do some gut testing. Did some gut testing, did a protocol. And after the protocol, she went on semaglutide, lost 30 pounds. And again, it's just one of those things where like she couldn't get anywhere her entire life. And now she addressed not only her weight, but her gut issues as well. And then lastly is a patient that is, looks beautiful and healthy on the outside. I mean, has, amazing life, does the right things. But she was always just a little overweight and that really bothered her entire life, just 20 pounds overweight. And, she tried everything, including, she couldn't follow any of our structured stuff, but tried a lot of different things and went on semaglutide immediately, after I think it was like 4 months, she lost the 20 pounds and then she's been on it for 2 years, but she's on a very low dose now. She doesn't take like the higher dose and she's maintained her weight loss for over 2 years. She was always like 155 and now she's 128 and she maintained the 128 for, like I said, like it's over 2 years, which is incredible.
Sherry, can I stop you for a second?
Yes.
I have a question. I think what she's trying to say that she's a senior and she's wondering if age can play a role in effectiveness for weight loss.
Repeat that again.
Yeah, if her age is going to play a role in the effectiveness of the medication.
Oh, okay. So, we see, without knowing the whole story, age really shouldn't. I mean, we have seen patients, in their 80s. So of course, as we age, things kind of change, but it really does depend on like your overall health and metabolic health. But there is not any contraindication or any reason why we would stop or prevent anyone from trying this at a certain age by any means. And the government doesn't state that you have to be like at a certain age or you have to be below a certain age. So again, without really having a lot of information, I would say that anyone is a good candidate for it. Okay, so myths. I'm gonna wait till. Do you want to? If she has another question, a follow up to that.
She just said, yeah, that's what I wanted. Thanks.
Okay, cool. All right. We're gonna wrap up. I know I feel like I'm talking for so long, but myths or just lies. This is the stuff that I'll just go through really quick. These medications are the magic bullet, the magic injection. I absolutely think they're the best we've ever had, but they are not going to work long term if you don't change. They just aren't. You have to clean up the diet. You have to exercise. We were finding that people, because it decreases your appetite, if you start eating low calorie and not getting your protein and you start losing muscle mass, you're in a worse state of health. And my fear, that's like the majority of people that are not being managed. So I think just know that it works. You have to still do all of the other good things. Um, we talked about side effects. People are terrified. They're terrified. And again, hopefully I cleared that up a little bit. A lot of people will say, I don't know, I'm scared injecting something foreign in my body. So your body recognizes this peptide as completely natural. This is what we absolutely know because they do testing. They look at your immune response to certain medications. And so from what we know, your body recognizes this as totally natural. And that's why all of the signaling and everything that is resulting is happening because that's how your body is perceiving it. The weight loss is mainly muscle mass. We just don't see that, because we're on top of it. Now, a lot of people will have a lot of muscle mass if they're not weighing or, if they're not checking their muscle, they will because, this medication shunts your appetite and your cravings. So you just eat less and therefore you probably don't get enough of nutrients. Gaining weight back, will you gain it after you stop? It depends on your metabolic health. It really does. If you end the program and you're still unhealthy, you probably will kind of start to gain stuff back. If you finish a program and you have like completely changed your metabolic health, your body comp, you will not gain your weight back. So it really depends on where you're at. Obesity is a genetic disease, so I need to be on the medication for as long as I live. Obesity is not a genetic disease. It is a preventable lifestyle disease. Some people have the genetic propensity to have it more than others, just like maybe I have the propensity to have develop cancer over someone else. But these diseases are hands down preventable lifestyle diseases. So in very specific cases, maybe somebody like one of our patients that would need to be on it, but for the majority, I would say you would not need to be on it long term, but because of the benefits, we are, kind of really looking into that, even for us as people who don't need to lose weight, but we're looking at metabolic advantages all the time. If my hunger is not suppressed, then the medication is not working. The medication, even at low doses, is helping. So whether it's helping you bypass, some of the cravings and temptations, that's one thing. But please know that even small doses is affecting those receptors in all of the different tissue in your body, and that's having a positive effect. So it absolutely is helping. Ozempic face and Ozempic butt really has to do with not being managed appropriately. Anytime you lose weight and you lose it quickly, you run the risk of losing muscle. When you lose muscle, I mean, that's all in our face. And so that, to me, that whole, kind of like people talking, oh my gosh, Ozempic causes, our face to age and things like that. It's just people not being managed appropriately and not getting enough protein in their diet. Only people with type 2 diabetes or obesity should take these drugs. I don't believe that because, 90%, 95% of people have metabolic dysfunction, and I'm all about preventative health. And like I said, we're all talking about, okay, let's see how we can biohack and maybe start some of this stuff and see what it does for even people that are just looking for the advantage. So right now, from everything that I know, I think that this is helping people get over and past the edge of this dysfunction that, we don't really even realize, what has been happening to us. It's not even our fault. People try so hard. And so now we have to come with a different option, a different way to change the way that the body works. And this is kind of what's doing it. So when you
Sherry,
think
I have
about,
another question.
yes,
Not that you're going to go down a rabbit hole here, but how do these medications compare with HCG, which I'm presently on?
Yeah, so totally different mechanism of action. And okay, yeah, because rabbit hole it would be indeed. So HCG only works if you create a calorie deficit because we are changing the way that the body accesses energy in a deprived state. So it's a different mechanism. It only really works in a calorie deficit, whereas the GLPs, we promote it all the time as you don't have to restrict your calories. You just have to eat healthy. So it is doing different things to allow you to eat a normal diet, whereas HCG absolutely does phenomenal things from a brain hormone balancing, fat loss effect, but it does require the calorie restriction. That's like the biggest deal because if it only works in a deprived state, and I can't get into those details now, but I'll leave it at that. If you have like a follow-up question, I'll answer it. I'll answer it then. Or we can offline it, but they're both amazing. They're just slightly different.
Yeah, I
they're
think
just-
this would be great for a one-on-one consult if they
yes.
wanted to go into that.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, cool. Oh, let me go back. Okay, so here's how I see the system. Listen. You have two choices. Our medical system is, if you want to get advice from somebody who has, maybe 10 minutes to give you a pill, or unfortunately, they just don't know what to do with you. You are just getting older and they are sorry that you feel like crap and you're tired and you're depressed. You're just getting older. If that is the answer, maybe you should start to think about things differently. I've always felt, listen, let's treat the person as a whole person. Let's get to know them. Let's better understand what is going on in the body. And not only that, let's educate, let's teach them why we do what we do. Because if you understand why you're doing what you're doing, there is skin in the game. Like that can be really powerful. And again, just having someone to be accountable for is, really helpful. And, we're all about getting you into a healthier state long term. There's nothing short term about this. Unfortunately, weight loss is just like anything else. You do work on it forever. You will not be on something like super strict, but you are going to work on it forever. Just like I work on it. I work on it every single day. Erica works on it every single day. I mean, that's what you do, because those are things that they're important to us. So kind of think of it that way. It's not like, oh, let's do something for 30 days and then I'm good, because that's not how it works. I think you're probably going to ask me a question, Erica.
Nothing right now.
Oh, okay, we're done. All right, so we have a couple different options here. I have no idea who's on here because I'm not going to try to look anywhere. And you can schedule a free consultation where we'd be more than happy. You can either be a former, if you're a former client, we can have a consultation about tirzepatide, or you're looking to restart. Or if you want to start semaglutide now, you can also schedule that through our QR codes. And